So the topic over here. I'm Dylan, this is Nate. We're YouTube's Millie Vanilli, and between us is Stephanie. And obviously she's really happy to be here. And today we're doing a top 5 of the most emotional movies that make us cry. Pass it, Nate, tell us how it works.
Right, so how we do our top 5s, if you haven't watched before, is one of us will do 5 and 4, and then we'll go down the line and do our 5s and 4s, then we'll go to 3s and 2s, and then we'll all trade off on our number 1s. We also have what we call the Zemeckis rule. So Robert Zemeckis was the director of Back to the Future. It's about time travel. So if one of us has a movie at, say, 4 or 5, and the other person has it at 3, 2, or 1, or up higher on the list, we'll say Zemeckis rule. And that just means that we're not going to talk about it then. We're going to talk about it for the person who has it higher on their list. So who wants to go first?
I'll go first. So my number 5 and 4, they're kind of similar movies. Not similar movies, same situation almost, but opposite ends of the spectrum. So my number 5 is End of Watch, Jake Gyllenhaal, and the dude from Ant-Man.
Paul Rudd?
No, the Mexican guy.
Oh,
Hispanic guy.
Michael Pena?
Yeah. And, yeah, his best friend. Someone dies in the movie. It's really emotional, because I have a best friend, so I can relate. If he died, I'll probably be like,
Oh my
I'll probably cry. I'm not gonna lie.
What is happening?
I'm not gonna lie. I'll probably cry. But on the other end, he's a cop and he's a pig, so fuck him. Because my number 4 is Fruitville Station. Fuck the police.
I knew that was going to
I got you, Michael B. Yeah. They put me in the shoes of a guy who has like a baby mama and a kid. And like nothing I can relate to, but that movie made me relate to it. So, good job, Michael Coogler. That's his name? Ryan Coogler.
Good grief, you're so bad at this.
We haven't done this in a week, I'm sorry.
Alright, we'll save our guest for last if she wants. So, my number 5 is one that stirred up a lot of controversy of its own, especially around Oscar time. So number 5 for me is actually going to be La La Land. Right, so...
Yes,
I don't care. So this one's just like a really personally emotional movie to me. So obviously it's basically one big love letter to Hollywood, right? Mm-hmm. So in movies, especially within like my family, like there's just so many emotional reasons tied up with why I love movies and things like that. So to have a film that's basically just centered around other people who love movies and things like that. But then also there's plenty of like rom-coms and other movies out there now that get you invested in a relationship and then pull the rug out from underneath you, and then it doesn't work out. So well, I won't talk about any because they might be on people's list. But La La Land didn't just get you extremely invested in two characters that have an insane amount of chemistry with each other, and then tell you that they don't end up together. But then it decided to show you exactly what their life would have been like had they ended up together, and it is heartbreaking. But I do love the fact that it shows that they were both happy either way. And that not everything like in life depends on this one make or break relationship, which adds another dimension of emotion to it.
When did you start crying in it?
I started crying when they started showing like the fake scene.
Yeah.
Number 4 for me is one of the few movies that. So like I tear up at movies a lot and things like that. But Taylor, quit being her ass. So I cried at this movie. Like I shed real tears.
Like nose running. Like
yeah,
ugly
it really
crying.
did, and I didn't see it coming. I also watched it at 2 o'clock in the morning, so I was tired and sleepy.
Fair.
Very, very vulnerable. It's actually Coco. So the most recent Pixar movie. Probably like 10% about the importance of music and 90% about family. And just like I said with the first one, like family just has so much to do with why I love movies and why I am the way that I am and feel things and stuff like that. So to see this character like struggling with his passion versus what his family wants for him, and to see how it all comes together in the end when he starts singing to his grandma, like that was done. Because it's also about like remembering like the people that aren't with us anymore, and like I mean I have people who are still alive that used to be big parts of my life that aren't anymore, and it's like sad to think about the fact that like they're not around, but you still have those memories and they're really great. So that's number 4 for me.
I like it. All right, my number 5 is Inside Out. I got all the feels for it.
We're gonna have to Zemeckis roll that one.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yep.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. The number 4 is Once. It's phenomenal. It's follows the story of a boy and a girl, and it's musical and wonderful and whimsical, and it's amazing. It takes place in Ireland, and I have to watch it with subtitles because I can't understand anything.
You've only seen it once.
No, I've seen... Okay. All right now. All right. One of the things I love about this movie is like you get to the end and the credits start rolling and you realize that you don't know the characters' names, and it's because they were never given names. It was just boy and girl. Cool. Yeah, and...
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler
There's
alert.
going to be spoilers in this video.
But one thing I really love about it is it's a movie about intimacy and like humanity, but similar to La La Land, they don't end up together, but they have this connection, and it's definitely like a soul connection moment and storyline, but they're both working through individual struggles, and it works out through music, and it's just beautiful and heart-wrenching, and it's just like start to finish leaps.
Yeah.
Leaps and geeps.
Cool. What's your number 4?
That was my number 4.
These are the American stuff.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. So we're at your number 3.
Yeah. That's Perks being a wildflower.
Wallflower?
Wallflower.
A wildflower.
I don't watch it much because it makes me cry, so I don't know the name of it, obviously. So I saw it at the right time. Yeah, number 2. Short Term 12.
Hold on.
I knew it was going to be in everyone's list.
It's
because of
yeah.
me.
It actually didn't make my list.
It's my 2.
It was number 6. It ended up being number 6.
That was what you cut out like
cut
20
out
minutes ago.
Yeah, I cut out Short-Term 12.
Okay.
I knew we'd all.
But I'll talk about it with y'all because it was like
have it.
so hard to not put on the list. But go ahead.
Yeah.
So, I'll let her start off because it's higher on her list.
It's my 2.
Oh, shoot you. It's my 2
Oh, 2.
So go ahead.
So, this is just like roller coaster of emotions. Like, it hits every single one.
I'm like getting
Whether
feelings.
the dude's rapping, or like they're having fun, or like the anger, funness when they're like beating the shit out of homegirl's dad's house.
Mm-hmm. The car. Yeah.
So let's let you finish it off.
I think what I love most about this is like there's these adult, like almost parental figures that were in the movie, and ultimately, whether it was healthy or not, they found a lot more healing than some of the teenagers, and that's one thing I really appreciated is like that concept of like you can live life longer than somebody else, but like you're still going to be able to glean like healing and like hope from whoever you meet.
Yeah.
It's definitely a gut-wrenching movie.
Yeah, for
It's
sure.
good.
So real.
Yeah.
And like, even though it didn't make my list, like 100% agree. I mean, from Marcus using like music is really the only way that he knows how to talk about and convey the things. To I can't remember her name, but the girl like writing her little like kid story to just kind of talk about what's really going on between her and her dad, which was so like creative and like deep at the same time.
Like the writers, they fleshed out every character and just showed you pieces.
And they didn't have to spend like
it felt like
It was still like a normal length movie.
So my number 3 is going to be a rom-com, an English rom-com. It's called About Time.
Oh my gosh, it's so good!
Right? Yeah. You've seen it too, right?
Yeah.
So Donald Gleason's in it. Oh my gosh, what is her name? She's huge now.
Really,
Rachel McAdams is in it, and
she just made it.
like Harley Quinn. What's her name?
Oh, Margot Robbie.
Margot Robbie.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm just gonna start there.
Okay.
So whatever.
What's your number 3, Nate?
Yeah, so my number 3 is going to be a British rom-com. It's called About Time.
The one with Margot Robbie?
Yeah. Right. So Margot Robbie, Donald Gleason.
So good.
Yeah, it's great. Rachel McAdams. So extremely emotional movie for me. I'm a big like relationship guy. I love love. It's great, right? And this movie is so quirky. It throws in that just kind of completely random like time travel element thing to it, but then also shows how much you can just fuck your whole life up if you mess around with that too much, to the point where like the scene where he realizes that he changed who his kid is, like after he's already fallen in love, like I mean he was his kid, you know? And then the decisions that he has to make between which girl, like his childhood crush, or like clearly the correct choice in the American Rachel Adams, McAdams. So yeah, it's just same thing. His relationship with his dad, where he has to do that like his dad realizes that one time. He's like, how many times have we had this conversation? Because he knows he's going back multiple times because he did it with his dad too. So just like that father-son relationship, the relationship aspect, the family aspect of it, hits me right there, man. So my number 2 is going to be the Zemeckis from earlier. It's going to be Inside Out. Man,
so good.
I can't. It's really hard to not put up like a whole list of Pixar movies.
Yeah.
Because like Up was in contention, Toy Story 3 was in contention. Like,
good thing we have a Pixar list coming up.
It's
for
true.
the Incredibles 2
There's your
release.
plug. So it's gonna be Inside Out. Wow. So
good.
yeah, the fact that they used a kids movie, quote unquote, to show such an accurate but like. A lot of kids' movies are pretty surface level. Pixar does a great job of getting deeper, and the fact they really dive into the importance of emotions that even though like we perceive as bad sometimes, and showing how important they are for us to like healthily process them and know how to convey those emotions in like healthy ways. Because she bottles hers up and then she like goes off the freaking rails and things like that. But when she like meets up with her parents at the end and is just like pouring like her heart out to them and all these things that she was actually feeling, and that's one thing, but like how lovingly they respond to her. Like every parent in America needs to watch that and be like, I should try to model that, because your kids are going to feel things that you don't necessarily agree with or understand sometimes, but being able to accurately respond to that is going to shape them into such a healthier person down the line. And then, like, you know, when Bing Bong dies, and like, that's sad. Like, I mean, that's sad also, but really, that like the more real aspect of it at the end is really what hits me with it. So, it was on your list too. What do you guys say about it?
I really love that it's able to show that emotions need each other to be able to function properly, and I also like that. You see this huge, like, visually see how when things are bottled up, like, aspects of her is literally, like, dying off almost. But then, like, the hope at the end of, like, this isn't permanent. And, like, you can rebuild this. And, like, it's so well done.
That's good stuff. What's your number 3?
All right. It's Love, Simon.
Oh, very current. Haven't seen it.
Okay. Well, boys. Love, Simon.
You can spoil it for me. I don't care.
Okay, bye. Love, Simon is phenomenal. It's a story of this, it's coming of age, coming out, and honestly, it's sort of the story I think the LGBTQA community has needed for a really long time. I cannot handle you.
Must not have been that too emotional. Just kidding.
Basically, it handles the aspects and the fear and the anxiety and sort of the grieving process that happens a lot within families when a child comes out. And I think it does a really good job of showing all these different complex and heightened emotions through different family members' reactions and through different friends' reactions. But it also does a good job of like staying on focus as far as like, again, hope. And I don't know, it was very, I started crying probably 5 minutes in the movie and just wept hysterically the entire time.
What's number 2?
It was Short Term 12. We had the same 2.
Yeah, Short Term 12. I could talk about it again.
It's my number 2 too, and then
it was like 2-2, and it was like a joke.
And we laughed, and you obviously forgot. So my number 1 is, give a little background again. It's a character I grew up with and loved, and in this film, he comes and he wants to be a father figure to a guy who lost his, and that is Creed, another Ryan Coogler film. Every time I see this movie, every time I watch Rocky, I cry. Rocky 2, I cry. Rocky, like all the Rockies made me cry, so I had to do 1. So I wasn't gonna put all the Rockies on the list, except for 5, but it's still alright. But yeah, when he says he got cancer, and like him and Creed, they talk about him. Oh my goodness. It's so emotional for me, and like I cry every time I see it. And it's just like, because I grew up with this character, and I had someone who wanted to be in my life as a father figure, so I can relate to that. And it's just, every time it hits me in the feels. And then he wins the fight, and I cry even more. The only movie I cried in the theater watching. Creed, yeah. Ryan Coogler, yeah.
Fair.
Make sure I get it right that time.
We normally have a pretty big argument over whether Star Wars or Rocky is the better movie franchise. So, but this is a different list for a different day. So I respect your feelings. Creed is phenomenal. It's the best Rocky movie. And I know that's not your opinion, but like
It's
it
the
is a
second best
great
Rocky
movie and
movie.
it is an emotional movie. So my number one is going to be probably like an emotional classic, really. So it's going to be Goodwill Hunting.
And it was actually
Oh my gosh. So I watched this movie for the first time kind of at a point where, like, I mean, I don't know, probably a minute. I was pretty shallow in high school. Like, there was not a whole lot of depth to me. Like, I think a lot of that stuff was kind of in there, but, like, I didn't, I was just a douchebag high school kid, right? And a lot of what helped me mature, I think, as, like, an emotional person, things like that, were some of the movies that I started watching. Because, like, Netflix was a thing, because I'm old, and I remember when Netflix didn't exist.
Goodwill
And they came in the mail, one movie a week.
Yeah, so before you could stream Netflix, so, like, I just started watching all these, like, rom-coms and stuff, but, like, Goodwill Hunting was on Netflix, and I watched it, and it was probably one of the first movies that ever, like, really, like, gut punch, like, hit me. So, I mean, obviously, like, the one big scene is, it's not your fault, Will, when he hugs him and, like, and, because he just has, the movie is just so subtle with the things that happen to him. Like, it tells you what happened to him, but it is never, like, here's a flashback to what happened to Will, or, like, here's this long, drawn-out thing. Yeah. But, like, the scene that really got me was when he, like, can't handle his emotions for Minnie Driver's character and just, like, lashes out because it's just, like, been built up for so long, right? Yeah. And, like, the fact that he's been hiding this from people so long that he can just, like, come up with these fake 12 brothers or however many it is off the top of his head. Like, he's so good at hiding all of this pain and stuff that's happened to him to where, like, and she knows that it's there and she finally pushes it past that point. He just, like, freaks out and she's just, like, wants to be there for him. Like, no matter what is like, just unconditionally, like, I don't care what you've been through, like, I want this. And to see him push it away, but then have that redemption part at the end where it's just like, I gotta go see about a girl. Done.
And then
like,
the knock on the door.
Yeah, because he said before, that, like, I just want, like, every day I think maybe he won't answer this time.
That was
and
my
then
number
he
6,
doesn't.
and I had to put
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Woo, that movie is good.
It's a good one.
Yeah, that's my number one.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
What's yours?
My number one is a movie called The Four-Faced Liar. It's phenomenal. I'm really sad they just took it off of Netflix because I was currently watching it like probably once a week. Yeah, but it's a story. It's like 4 people, and basically it's how 2 girls meet and their story and how they fall in love. But one thing I really love about it is it's like incredibly morally ambiguous. Like, and there's a lot of, like, they leave a lot of pain in their wake, but they end up together and happy, and so you're left with all these, like, oh, they were meant to be together, and then also, like, oh my gosh, like, look at all of this stuff, and you're sort of left to, like, sit in that, but it sort of goes back to, like, this concept of their connection is so, like, it was very, like, raw how the script was written, and so it's very, like, it's not going to be a classic, it's not a great movie, but it's just very real, and it's very, like, one of the things I love most about it is it sort of follows along this project this one girl is doing on Wuthering Heights, and that's, like, my favorite book growing up, and so it has this concept of, how can we be so much the same and so different, and it's a wonderful coming of age and just, like, messy and I could get teary, like, thinking about it.
I was hoping you would.
So there you have it, guys. That's what we think. That's what our top 5 favorite emotional movies are. The ones that really get us going, hit us in that deep area. Who knew that Dylan could even feel things?
You feel things.
Yeah. Special thanks to Stephanie for joining us today. We really appreciate you coming.
I'm always here for a good cry.
And hanging out. As always, guys, make sure to let us know what your favorites are down in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. We'll see you next time.
Yeah. Hey. Yeah, partially functional. Half of me is comfortable. The other half is close to the cliff, like Mrs. Huxtable. These boys got them hostess.